Hi, and welcome to Return to Zero. I'm your host, Jason Matthew Kusowski. This is the book I wrote called The Gospel of Zero. I'm reporting to you live from Saigon, Vietnam. Today's talk is titled The Fear of Being Seen, and I could not think of a better one to start with because that is something that I myself struggle with. You'd think after years of playing music and playing shows and playing live that I would be used to it. But I'm not. Back when I played music, I was a frontman, but I didn't like to be seen. I would put my hair over my face. This is back when I had hair. I would put it over my face and I would stare at the ground. I was a bit of what they call a shoegazer. I wouldn't make eye contact with the crowd. I would look down. And then when the shows were over, people would go and talk to my bandmates, but they never seemed to talk to me. I always thought it was just because I was the big front man. People didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to engage. But I think it was more the energy I was giving off. I just didn't want to be witnessed. I didn't want to be seen. But in the studio, I loved the studio. It was my sanctuary. It's where I could go and create for hours and hours on end. It was where I escaped to. And I was free to make as many mistakes as I wanted to because I could always repair them. I don't even know if you could really call it failure, because it was just learning. And that's what we do on our own a lot of the time in private, is we just learn. But we don't have to be exposed. We don't have to put ourselves out there. We are free to try, but without being witnessed, without being judged, without being rejected by the tribe. And I think there's a big difference between the fear of failure and the fear of visibility. Did you really fail if nobody witnessed it? It's just you learning. That's all it is. If I had a bad mix, I can adjust it. If something doesn't sound right, I can tweak it. And at that point, nothing's exposed. But the real hard part, the real difficult part for me at least, is sharing it. It's the visibility that comes after. And I think for a lot of us, we don't have necessarily a creativity problem. We have an exposure problem. So in the Gospel of Zero, we talk about 3 core wounds that I think we are all afflicted with. They spell the acronym SAW. So the first one is safety. Am I safe? The next one is authenticity. Am I free to be my authentic self? And the last one is worthiness, which is, am I worthy and am I worthy of love? Those are the big 3. But today's talk is really centered around this authenticity wound. And so if you found yourself being a bit of the weird kid, a little strange, a little odd, a little expressive, sensitive, maybe you were judged or ridiculed for it. I know a lot of us were. You learn to hide that because authenticity became associated with danger, with rejection. And so what happens when being yourself feels unsafe? So if you tried something and you were rejected for it, you learn that, okay, being myself comes with rejection. My authenticity comes with rejection. And now you start looking at, well, if authenticity costs me my safety, then maybe I just won't be authentic. And that's where it begins. And that's where this fear of being seen starts to originate. So creation has 2 parts to it. The first part is making the thing. You've got to make the thing. You've got to do it. Some people have a harder time with it than others, but we have to make it. That's how it starts. You got to bring it into the world. And I never really had as much of a problem with this. For me, creation was always easy. I create all day long. The issue I always had is the second one, and that's sharing it. That's exposure. I could create the project. I could make the thing, but I would share it with a very small, curated group of people. I just couldn't share it all around it. I didn't like it. It made my skin crawl. I wanted to do the thing, but I was scared to share the thing. Because once you release it, then you got to stand behind it. Then you got to promote it. Then you got to go out there. And I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. You might have some projects on your computer, maybe, and they're in a folder titled final version. One day I'm going to release this. It's like next week it's coming. And maybe the thing is done, but the visibility part hasn't happened yet. And that's what's got to come next. So I was thinking about the origin of this within myself. I come from a very kind of traditional Catholic upbringing, and my mother very much had the same thing when she was a child. So my mom was raised under the kind of upbringing of children should be seen and not heard, children should stay quiet, don't be too much, don't be too loud, don't be too expressive, be meek, be humble, all of those things. And by no fault of their own, these similar type things were passed on to us. And I'd like to say straight up, I am not blaming them in any way. It's important to understand this, that patterns repeat. We teach what we are familiar, what we are comfortable with. And another big thing is it's not necessarily what somebody said, it's what they heard. An example of this is a child finished a painting, something creative that they're excited with, and they run to dad and they're like, Dad, I finished this. I want to share it with you. And dad just happens to be in a meeting. He's busy. He's just not able to give them the attention that they want in that moment. The dad rejects them, or that's how the kid perceives it, and they run away sad. And they say, Dad doesn't love me. Dad doesn't care about what I do. And that's not the truth at all, but that's what this child has now imprinted into their nervous system. And so with this stricter Catholic upbringing, certain things were taught. Standing out is pride. Visibility is vanity. Self-recognition is arrogance. And these were all things that were imprinted from a young age. And I had a moment rather recently that kind of shined some light on this. I was visiting my parents, and I had been spending some time in the gym. I'd been working on my body, which is something that I'd not really done for most of my life. I didn't really have a lot of self-confidence or self-respect. And so I'd been working out in the gym. I felt I was looking better. I was feeling better. And I was going to leave, and I looked, and there's a mirror right on the side of the front door. And I looked over, and in that moment, I looked good to myself. I felt confident. The work we had put in was showing. And I said out loud, damn, we're looking good. Just a little compliment to myself. And almost like clockwork from the background, I heard my mom say, Jason, be humble. And there it was. Shot down. I wasn't being prideful. I wasn't being arrogant. I wasn't comparing myself to anyone. I was just complimenting my avatar. And even that was too much. Even in the quiet of my parents' house, not being witnessed by anyone other than my mother, it was still too much. It was standing out. And it was in that moment I was like, oh, that's where it comes from. That's where I learned to stay small, to not stand out. And that was a really powerful moment of recognition for me. So the very concept of me going on here and putting out this YouTube channel makes me uncomfortable. I tried to put it off. I tried not to do it. Believe me, this is months and months in the making. I bought the background, bought a green screen, bought the right camera, bought the right light. I keep finding one more thing and then it'll be perfect. You see this a lot with people with like the gym. Okay, I gotta get the shoes. I gotta watch the workout video. Okay, now I gotta get the gloves. I can't lift. I can't get the calluses. Well, now I need a trainer. We find these reasons to keep putting it off and putting it off because we don't want to go and be visible. It's uncomfortable. We don't like it. There's something in us that doesn't want to be witnessed. So I kept finding these reasons to delay. I even tried to get the teleprompter app on the phone, and I tried reading it. I wrote these scripts. It just sounded robotic. It didn't sound like me. So now I'm going to do what I do best, which is just speak from the heart and hope it resonates. Because at a certain point in time, all that preparation is just another form of control, form of not doing the thing. But eventually, we have to do the thing. And growth happens at the place that's the most uncomfortable. I really like the quote, "It's impossible to change without pain, for we're both the marble and the sculptor." It hurts. Growth hurts. It's an uncomfortable thing. Because if we keep repeating the same patterns we've always known, it's a familiar comfort, but we can't grow from there. And it reminds me of the lobster. They reach a point where they've become physically too big for their shell. This lobster has to eject its shell violently. It can't go back in once it's done. But now what happens? It's soft, it's vulnerable, it's exposed. It's now able to be attacked. It's got to almost go into hiding. And that's what that middle ground feels like. You feel exposed. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like at any given time, something can come get you. But that's where the growth is happening. Growth happens through little micro tears. It's like lifting weights. You lift the weights, you tear the muscles a little bit, they heal, they grow, and it's a slow process. People want it to be overnight or immediate, but what happens is it happens through titration. It's not an immediate thing. It happens through going out, putting out this YouTube video and realizing that I'm not going to die. I'll be okay. People might not like what I say. They might be mean. They might reject it, but we're okay. And so visibility is this repatterning of the body. And that brings us to now. I'm here in Vietnam. It's uncomfortable. I don't know people. I'm trying to find my voice. I'm in the soft shell phase, but we're doing it together. It's a new experience. I can't control how this is received. All I can do is control that I showed up, I did the thing, I did my best, and then find out what I liked and didn't like, make the little changes, and do it next time. And so maybe you have your own fear of visibility. At some point in time, you were judged. It could have been school, sports, work, or somewhere where you did something and then you felt a rejection from the tribe. A lot of people have that attitude of, you can't fire me, I quit. They build up these walls where it's better not to do the thing than to risk rejection. So think back on your own life. Think back to that time where maybe you tried something, you're rejected, where you showed up authentically and wasn't received the way that you thought it would be. Because I think this fear of being seen is universal. And the way we get through it is by doing the thing a little bit at a time, by realizing that we can do the thing and we're still going to be okay. And it's a process. So thanks for showing up for my process. And I appreciate you joining me today here for the first one. So with that said, be kind to yourself. And I'll talk to you all again soon.